Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you for honoring the forum with your presence. You're buying frigates and planes from the French, but what are the French committed to do other than sell you stuff?
We have a long-standing strategic partnership with France, which essentially goes back centuries. I'd say that we were in the market to purchase new surface ships. I think we struck a good deal. The French frigates were the ones that were actually recommended by our Navy. Our Navy considered this to be the best option. So I would say we bought the best ships at the best price with a very quick delivery schedule. And on top of that, we negotiated what I think is a mutually beneficial strategic partnership agreement. Within the context of NATO, we are adding resources to our transatlantic alliance. There's a lot of talk, as you know, in Europe about the interoperability of our defense capabilities. Well, we're taking a step in that direction.
Would you regard this as NATO not being quite as brain dead as Mr. Macron thinks?
I never believed that NATO was brain dead, but I do believe that NATO, through its 2030 initiative, needs to rethink its priorities. It is still the most successful alliance in the history of the world, and we're very proud and active members of NATO.
Yes. Given health crisis, given the environmental crisis, the big fires this summer, what do you say to people who say, well, you know, frankly, this money could be better spent, that Turkey isn't quite the imminent threat that some people think?
I would answer that these are long-term defense contracts spread over many years. You're very right to point out that as the economy is again recovering, and as we move, if I were to borrow, you know, the theme of the conference, from resilience to renewal, my number one priority is how do we reduce inequalities in this new growth model I'm championing. I do not intend to enter into an arms race with Turkey, and I'm always reaching out a hand of friendship to Turkey. We have big differences on many issues, but there should be a way to solve these differences through dialogue. At the same time, we will defend our territory, sure, our territorial integrity, our sovereignty, our sovereign rights, and in order to do so, we need a strong deterrence.
But one of the interesting things, of course, is the migration question. Now, obviously, Greece, Italy, I mean, you've suffered a lot. I mean, you're closest to all the migratory flow. There was a period where Turkey was alleged to be instrumentalizing migrants and pushing them outward. That doesn't seem to happen now. But what about the charges that you're being a little too aggressive and that you're violating the spirit of humanitarian refugee law?
I am unapologetic about defending our borders, but we're doing it with full respect to human rights, putting the protection of people at sea always as a first priority. No one has drowned in the Aegean this year, and I'm particularly proud of the work that my Coast Guard is doing in saving people. Since we took over, we addressed the problem of unaccompanied minors. We've granted asylum to tens of thousands of people who are entitled asylum, and we're actively trying to integrate them into Greek society. So I can see, I see no conflict between vigilantly defending our borders and, yes, intercepting boats at sea, while at the same time behaving in a totally humanitarian manner and taking care of those people whose lives are at risk.
How are you doing at sending people back who actually do not qualify? And then how worried are you about new chaos in Afghanistan producing persistent flow of asylum seekers, refugees?
Yes, defending our borders is necessary. But what is the alternative? The alternative is organized migration in a manner that does not endanger people and that actually serves their need. For example, we're in discussion with Egypt to put together what I think is going to be a very innovative pilot program to cover our needs in the agricultural sector, where we simply do not have enough people to work in our fields. I think would be a win-win solution, and it would send a signal that yes, we can accommodate people based on the rules that we set.
You did a very good job in Greece with the first wave of vaccination and COVID, but it stalled. How do you explain this? Is this the residue of populism? Is this a deep anti-state mistrust?
We have not had the full support of the opposition, but there are also deep-rooted, cultural issues. If you look at rural areas, they lag behind the big cities. I was the first at the European Council last December to raise the issue of the EU digital certificate. It really facilitated travel. Our tourism did better than we expected, and we saw no real, spike in COVID due to tourism.
North Macedonia and enlargement. Now, North Macedonia has been a neuralgic issue in Greece for historical reasons.
When it comes to Northern Macedonia, there were issues, aspects of the deal that was done by the previous government I did not like. I did not vote for the deal. But I said very clearly that if the deal is ratified by Parliament, I will respect it.
Yes.
It's an international obligation of the country, and a country that is a proponent of international law needs to respect international treaties.
I wish you luck with all the challenges ahead, because they are many, and not just generational, but financial, lots of other ways. So thank you, Mr. Prime Minister,
Thank you
very, very much.